So nice. We hit it twice, baby. Listen.
That's right.
Welcome to the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. And it's a live week 6 reaction show. Hey, it happens. This is live television. So welcome, everybody that's watching. We appreciate you joining. Obviously, crazy season so far. Shades of 2007 all over again. Instead of teams like West Virginia and Kansas being up there, now you got teams like Duke and stuff that are, not Duke, BYU up in the tops and other crazy stuff going down. It's just a wild weekend. Let's recap it together. But first, of course, let's talk a little bit of AP poll and some movers and the losers this weekend. And by God, there's a lot of each. So Oregon, Penn State moving up about 3, Miami jumping 2 a little bit, but then Ole Miss, Clemson, Iowa State, Notre Dame, all teams that are kind of that one loss or even they're kind of further back, moving up 5 and 3 spots. Texas A&M making a big jump of 10. BYU moving up like we were talking about. Indiana also. Lots of movement going upward because there's so many losses up ahead of them. And then you got losers. Bama dropping 6, Tennessee 4, Missouri 12, Michigan 14. And then you've got others that, USC is out of the top 25 and all are, totally. So just, again, crazy week, absolutely chaos. So boys, let's get your quick hits on it before we jump into looking at our gridlocks, our pick 'em and stuff. I'd say it's like 2007. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's chaotic.
It's a bit chaotic. I think that I don't know. Blake, don't take offense to this or nothing, but I feel like Alabama got a little off easy on this one, with Vanderbilt being where they were as far as I don't know, a Washington team. I feel like 14 spots for a top 10 team, as opposed to that many spots, 6 spots for a number 1 team losing to an unranked. I don't know. I feel like they should have been punished a little bit more than that, but that's just my thought process on that.
Well, I think the reason it was Michigan's second loss, and Michigan hadn't really had much, to ride home about throughout the season. And Vanderbilt, that with their record, I know they were unranked, but they have the same record as like Arkansas and Kentucky that beat Ole Miss. So, kind of hard to move Bama behind Tennessee, Ole Miss, and teams that have one loss too. There was a lot of losses in the top 11.
Yeah, so, no, I was just like Michigan definitely got smacked hard on that one.
I think that's just because it was their second loss versus their first.
I agree with that though. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, doing our own top 25 was hard. Now I know that AP poll has its flaws. But they had a tough outing, and I tell you what, some of these people still need to be vote reduced. Somebody had who was it? I can't remember his name, but he had a certain team. I think Georgia. He still had number 3. He had a team like Notre Dame up to number 6. I'm just like, what the hell are you people doing? How are you allowed to vote in this poll? So no idea, but. We'll jump onto ours, Trev, if you want to shoot over to our
I'm on it.
And we'll talk about ours just a little bit. It's obviously a little different than the AP poll. We only have the 3 of us voting, but we're trying to, give our take on it, and we'll release it on Monday mornings. You can see it now too.
Popped off of there, but
yeah. So I mean, look, things are a little different, than the AP poll, but this is just how our cumulative composite, rankings between the three of us shake them out. And when we post this for our people that listen just on Spotify or any of the podcast sites, we'll put it on Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff as well. Certain ones that I moved, like Texas A&M, I thought they deserved a pretty decent move up because I think Wigman played really well, and if he was that guy in week 1, I think they beat Notre Dame, and they're probably a top 5 team right now. I punished people like Tennessee, Ole Miss a little bit, Bama a little bit, not as much, I guess, because they still have a good win against Georgia. It's tough. This was a tough week to rank. But I mean, you can see ours on the next graph. And like I said, we'll post all that. So that's our top 25. Let us know what you think about it in the comments. And then, we'll go from there. Gents, anything on our rankings that you're, maybe upset about, or that you were like, hey, it is what it is. It's a tough week.
Some things just hit me in the gut a little bit, but other than that, no big deal. It's all relative. Like we always say that this early in the season, it's just for show for the most part until we get to the CFP stuff.
Yeah, I like seeing the service academies in there.
Heck yeah.
5-0, you got to have them up there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And the AP just kind of disregards them.
Yeah, and look, I get strength of schedule.
Other than Air Force. Other than Air Force.
Oh yeah, last year until they got shot down.
Yeah.
But like I said, I get it. Yeah, they deserved it. But when you're talking like strength of schedule and stuff, Army, Navy, right now theirs aren't very good comparatively. Indiana, theirs is pretty solid. BYU's is a top 50 strength of schedule right now when you look at all the unbeatens. That's why I think we all put them up into our number 7, top 7. And it's just one of those things like, record has to matter. Who you beat has to matter. And how you look matters too. So Boise State, I've got them a little bit higher than some others. But just because they have a 3-point loss to the number 3 team. And Jonty, that dude's a freaking beast at running back.
Man. I think he's my Heisman.
And I know people down the competition and stuff. It doesn't matter. This dude's getting like 15 yards of carry in certain.
He's got 1,000 yards rushing in October.
Yeah,
what are we talking about? Right?
It's nuts, man. It's right now. I feel like it's his to lose. Yeah. But either way, that's our top 25. You guys, again, we'll post it tomorrow for everybody to check out. Let's move on. We'll talk a little bit about our gridlocks and our pick 'em, how bad they've been doing. And I got the season stats for them for you guys. Gridlocks, Trevor hammered his this week. He was able to knock his down, and he's starting to get a little catch-up action going here. Yeah. But Blake and I faltered again. Boston College let me down. Rutgers, where's the Greek rifle at, man? What the hell is he doing? He couldn't do anything for us. Again, Rutgers let the whole team down. So currently on Gridlocks, I'm 3-3 on the season. Didn't get any points this week. Trevor is 2-4. He got 4 points this week. And Blake's 1-5, man. Rough year.
Rough year,
Blakey, man. And then as we go on to our pick 'em, we'll look at those. And I forgot to put the dang key on there to show the points for the Gridlocks. I'll do that later. But when you look at our pick 'em, kind of a rough week. Trevor kind of rebounding though off of last.
I got a couple wins on you guys. I got a couple wins.
He did. So on the season currently, I'm sitting at 39-25 on the season. Trevor 33-31, and Blake 35-29. So the gap's not huge, but it's easily overcomable. I think, especially when you have weeks like this where Blake and I struggle. Trevor getting some games up. It's a season-long battle, boys. It's not over yet. So that's our usual shakedown in the beginning. We kind of go over our stuff, and now let's talk some football, boys. Again, crazy year. The group of 5, they have a chance to go to the playoff. They have, the highest ranked conference champion will get a bid. And we talked about it last week that they could be ranked higher than maybe the Big 12s, and they could get in to the 4 seed and get a bye. So one of the teams that we were mentioning, UNLV, was in prime position to do that, but they could not get it done against Syracuse. And that, we'll talk more, maybe a little bit about Syracuse when we get into the ACC slate, but just that was a Friday night game, kind of just disappointing when it comes to UNLV. They just couldn't get it done. Anything on that game, boys?
No, I thought that Syracuse played a pretty decent game. They definitely, by far, did not play a flawless game. Actually, neither team did. It was kind of a sloppy game there, kind of in the middle. But it was a fun game to watch. I watched most of it, and it was a really good game to watch.
I thought it was frustrating. UNLV there in the last couple of drives had so many chances to put that game away. And then penalties, and I mean, it was just some penalties that might have not been penalties. And I think you're agreeing on that one, one particular one anyways. But, I mean, it was frustrating because, I mean, they had every chance to win it there. Even right there up in overtime, the tackling was awful.
Yeah, it was bad. The one thing I would say about the UNLV game that I was really kind of surprised on is that the UNLV, they did not have more designed runs for the UNLV quarterback. That guy has some explosive legs, and he's
fast.
He's very fast. I was very surprised when push came to shove that they just had him sitting in the pocket.
Yeah,
well, he's a very effective passer.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying when push comes to shove, use the best weapons you have on the field, and his legs are one of them.
Yeah. And I'll say, I think he makes this team better. I know they lost, but I think he definitely elevates UNLV into still that contender for the group of five.
Very talented quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Another team we mentioned, Boise State, nothing really to talk about here. I mean, they beat the hell out of them, Utah State 62-30. Again, John at running back, 13 carries, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns. The dude's a monster. But, I mean, they had 296 on the ground as a team. And then passing-wise, Madsen was 21 of 25. So great game from Boise State. Anything on that one, boys? I know it's just.
I think Boise has separated themselves as the favorite. To be perfectly honest, they've separated themselves from the rest.
I think so too. And now, I mean, there's movement behind them, but they're looking real good. And outside of that, it's really the academies. Navy beat Air Force. They're 5-0. Army, they beat Tulsa. They're looking good doing it. They're 5-0. So, I mean, the group of five's got some movement going on, and it's kind of cool to see. Another one, I wouldn't say leave them out yet, but Tulane just beat UAB 71-20. Not so bad for UAB, man, and the guy going on there. People are not happy. Let's just say that the fan base is pissed with what's going on with their coaching staff. Outside of that, Texas State, they beat Troy, but they're kind of out of it, in my opinion. Sam Houston, though, when you're talking about teams that are still in it, Sam Houston State 5-1, they're just kind of hanging around. They're right there. Other teams, Toledo's 4-1, UConn's 4-2. The old Beavs, man, they're 4-1. Louisiana Monroe 4-1. James Madison took even though they lost that game to ULM, but both are 4-1. So it's like all these teams are still sitting there battling. I know Boise State, UNLV were getting the main talk of the town, but keep an eye out on those. San Jose State too, 4-1. But that's it on Group of Five roundup. We're kind of doing it different than what we've done before. We have our pick, and we'll talk about these games, but we're also just going to go through each conference in the Group of Five, which we just did. So ACC's next on the docket. We're going to run through the big games on that one, and kind of give a breakdown of the biggest ones. And then we'll just kind of quickly cover some of the other games across the conference. When we're talking about the ACC, first one that I got pulled up, Duke and Georgia Tech, and I swear, I've been rolling with Georgia Tech most of the season, and then I'm like, you know what, they're done. I can't do it again, and then they burned me. What do you guys think of this?
I was in the same boat as you. I felt like Vegas was giving them too much credit still for that Florida State win because they haven't really looked good since. I mean, they've won some games, but they've been real inconsistent, especially on the offensive side.
Yep.
They've struggled, and I thought Duke, being undefeated, 9-point dogs, I mean, that's like begging to take them, and that didn't work out for me. So
I hung with you, Yellow Jackets. I hung with you.
You did.
I was glad I did too. I honestly didn't get to see much of this game because there's just so much else going on. But the highlights look good.
We got a running game.
I mean, they had a running game show up. I don't even know where that happened. I don't know.
We'd mentioned that, all week or even all season, you've got to find some help for Haynes King. He can't be the only one to run the football.
They found it.
And Jamal Haynes goes out for 128. So they had a nice day.
They found it. That's good. I mean, honestly, if they can be balanced, if they can be a balanced team, they are going to be dangerous.
Yes.
If they can stay balanced. And what I would say is that going forward, they need to commit to actually running the ball. Like, don't freak out in the first quarter. If it's not working, stay the course. They say just keep withering down that defense. Because even if you're just running 1 or 2 plays each possession, or you're doing a few runs every so often, it still keeps it in the head of the defensive players that you're able and willing to do it.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they can win the ACC necessarily, but I think they can still be a thorn in a lot of people's sides. Let's talk Miami, California, unless you guys got more on that last one.
No, you're good.
Blake, I know you stayed up late watching this one. Miami comes back again, 39-38. People, the help of the refs.
Yeah.
The convicts.
2 in a row.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I turned the game off and went to bed. I was so mad. I was like, I can't believe Miami dropped this. This is ridiculous.
Well, see, I was actually I was back and forth between that game and the Arizona game.
Yeah.
And when Cal went up, 35-18, I was like, they're done. 10 minutes or 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. And then I see down at the bottom, it was like 26-35, and then it was 32-38, and I'm like, okay. I flipped it back. And
all right, what's
just
happening?
in time to see the officiating, and I mean, Cam Ward, I mean, he did lead them back, but I mean, still, some of the calls was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just again, we've not only mentioned it on these, like, for this team, but just in general. College football has had an officiating problem, and I don't know how people are going to fix that.
But the funny thing is that it's consistent across the board. It doesn't matter which officiating crew it is. Every crew has been bad.
Yeah, like, I understand you're going to miss a hold here and there. You're going to miss some PIs. I mean, I get that.
Yeah,
and but also we live in a world of cameras everywhere. They're slow-moing every replay, so you're seeing more than you used to. But at the same time, some of these are, I mean, downright just affecting the outcome of games. And they're on replay, and they're reviewable plays. And I mean, it's getting pretty bad. Like that Virginia Tech call, I mean, I don't think he caught the ball personally, but the bottom line is you called it a touchdown on the field, and there was no evidence to overturn it, and they did.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's
that
just,
kind of stuff is bad.
It's game decision, like big decisions on these games, and roughing the passers. Even like some of these are not. They're not egregious. They're nothing like that. It's like barely a hand to the face, or this guy's coming to swat a ball out of the air and he lands on the quarterback. Like, come on, man!
Happened to Bama.
Yeah, happened to Michigan too. On the last drive. The guy jumped up, tipped the ball. As he's in the air, he falls down. It was not like he's spearing the quarterback or anything. So then, that's a game ending right there. 3rd down conversion, and it's over. So, I mean, obviously, you don't want to put your teams in that situation. You should, you want to do more, but that's just it's part of the game. And the refs, unfortunately, get a hold of it as well. So, either way, Miami did still find a way to win. They won. They can't take it away from them. So either way, Cam Ward, really nice game from him. 437, big comeback. Mendoza and even I had a solid game on the passing side. Rushing, though, not so much. Let's jump on, though, boys. Clemson, Florida State here in the ACC. Clemson got the win. Florida State, though, Brock Glenn came in, threw for 228, 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't say it's a bad game for, jumping into the fire here against a pretty solid defense from Clemson. What do you guys think about Florida State here and making the change at quarterback?
They looked better.
I'm curious to see if it's permanent.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if they bounce back and forth or if they stick with it.
I feel like at this point they're done with it. I think the DJU thing's over.
Yeah, I feel like it should be.
It should be.
I mean, after the start that they've had, why would you stick with him? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought that he gave him a good enough spark, but at the end of the day, Clemson's a better team overall.
Yeah, they got no help on the ground. Brock Glenn had zero help in the rushing department. You're talking Toffoli had 16 yards rushing. Glenn had 15. Cam Davis only had 13. So it's like you gotta get some help there. And then on the other side of it, Maffa and the crew, they had 265 on the ground, and Klubnik had a pretty decent game, 235, 2 touchdowns. Clemson's back. They're back in the playoff hunt for sure. Florida State got to find a way to get a bowl game. I think Brock Glenn starting is going to be a help. I don't know if they're going to get there though, gentlemen. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit more ACC football. SMU Louisville. This game, just back and forth. Jennings for SMU, I think, is pretty special. I don't know what happened with Preston Stone, because last year I thought he was really, really solid. But Jennings has come in and he's kind of turned the team around and got them the win. Shug on the other side still threw for 329 and ended up losing. What do you guys think about this game?
SMU is slowly creeping up. They're a solid team. Louisville, that game, it was a good game, honestly, from both sides. Some interesting stats: 25 first downs from SMU, 21 from Louisville. Mm-hmm. But on third down, both of them kind of struggled. Yeah. And but it was a fun game there. I thought Louisville was going to walk away with it there at the end.
It was so back and forth, man. Then they had that chance at the end. I thought they were done for, but they found a way, man. It
was a fun game to watch. Straight up, it was just a fun game to watch. It was nice to actually see SMU put some stuff together, though. Yeah, they have not looked clean at all, really, this season.
And I'd say the last 2 weeks they've started really turning it up. Before that, it was super sloppy and ugly. The O-line wasn't looking good, but now it's like, okay, maybe they're starting to get into what we expected them preseason to be, that dark horse, caliber team. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye for SMU. Jennings keeps playing this way, and he ran for 113 too. I'd like to see some more help in the run game. I like their running backs, but it's like they're not getting that production. So one thing for SMU, keep an eye out for that. Last two actually in the ACC. You got Pitt, UNC. This was a big ACC week. Pitt came back. Holstein, another big game from him, 381, 3 touchdowns. I know, Blake, you're a big fan of him, but UNC goes down. And even Criswell, he had a pretty solid game on the other side of it. What do you guys think about Pitt moving up and they're finally in the top 25?
Well deserved.
Hashtag put him there. Save Narduzzi.
Yeah. We thought this dude was going to be canned, bro.
Yeah, he's turned it around.
Hey, that turd in the toilet.
Yeah.
If you don't know, go look it up.
He needed a good quarterback to manage his team, and he's got one. Yeah, I was sold on Eli Holstein at Bama, and but unfortunately, their coaching staff doesn't read my blog, so. Otherwise, we would be undefeated.
Yeah. Hey, listen, they should know better. But yeah, it's a good fit, I feel like. And Narduzzi's always had a solid defense. Back at Sparty, but they're getting stuff rolling here at Pitt, and they're 5-0. That's a team you might want to watch out for. Don't take them lightly. But that's it on ACC, guys. Quick run through. But again, just some of these games shaping the way the playoffs are going to look here very, very soon. Wake Forest They beat NC State team. They're done. NC State's done. Virginia Tech spanked Stanford, and that was kind of one I thought might be a little closer because Stanford looked good.
I did too.
But that's it for the ACC. Let's jump on to the Big 12, gentlemen. And first up, Iowa State. They went out and beat the dog out of Baylor. Rocco Beck, solid game. Jackson on the ground. Jalen Jackson, 107. But they're looking good. They're 5-0. They're in position to right now lead the Big 12 when the Big 12 is tearing each other apart. And Baylor, they're falling apart at the seams. So I don't know. You guys got anything on that one?
No, go Cyclones.
Well, yeah, Baylor jumped up on them quick, and then in the blink of an eye, Iowa State took over. It turned around fast.
Yeah, I feel like the Big 12 this week was just kind of a mess, and that's why not too much to talk about on them. But yeah, they jumped up quick, but then all of a sudden Iowa State was like right back in a huge middle section. The second and the third quarters, they tore them up. And again, I think Rocco's a solid quarterback. They just keep letting him work. So that's a team to keep an eye out for. Again, they could win the Big 12. Now, when we're talking about the rest of the Big 12, Texas Tech was the other big one. They got a nice win over Arizona. And Blake, you mentioned watching that one too. Morton was somebody we talked about in the preseason as a quarterback that they like for Texas Tech. And then Taj Brook, he did what we wanted. We said in the preview was he had to get the ground game going, and he did for 3 touchdowns and 128. What do you guys think on this one?
Noah Fafita and McMillan, if you contain that little duo there, you can beat Arizona.
Yeah.
Now, Tech on the ground getting Brooks going, that just like we said, I mean, he was a beast. I don't know if you watched any of it, but he was powering through Arizona's defense like they had no answer for him.
He's a strong back.
What was his final yard? Did you get that by chance?
Yeah, he had 21 carries, 128 yards, 3 touchdowns. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was plowing.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting 6 yards a carry. So I mean, that's always nice when you can rely on that. Trev, did you get to see any of this game, or
I did not watch
the
Miami one? Yeah, no, I was all over the place elsewhere.
Dude, it was so hard, seeing these games that late, and you're just like, man, which one do I watch? Because I want to be full attention.
I might have passed out on the couch at this point. I can't remember.
Gotta get more coffee in you, baby.
Dude, I was 3 coffees deep by the time the afternoon games hit. Any more coffee, I'd be dying.
Yeah, it's like Fafita and crew. There's talent there, but I think they're really missing Jet Fish. Coleman as well at running back. That dude was a monster. I know I like Quill Conley. I like what they've got there, but I think you're missing Jet Fish as much as they hate that man for leaving. He's a good coach. And you give him time. Like if he would have stayed, I think this Arizona's team would have been deadly. But they're still 3-2, 1-1 in conference, and Texas Tech 5-1, 3-0 in conference. Maybe this was the year I should have picked them. I was a year premature when I picked them last year. But hey, like the rest of the Big 12, nothing really to write home about. TCU down Houston, West Virginia beat the brakes off Oklahoma State, and Arizona State is a quiet 4-1. Big Ten, we're on to them. Let's talk a little bit about it because there was some action there. Ohio State, first time we've mentioned them this year. It was a really close game against Iowa in the first half. After that, adjustments were made, a huge third quarter, and Ohio State came away 35-7. I think that's obviously a good team, very talented. Will Howard looks solid with them. The running back duo is solid, but again, they're not really tested. Iowa, they're like a worse version of Michigan, I think, offensively, and that's saying something because Michigan sucks offensively. But defense, they're still solid, so I give them some credit there. Ohio State and being able to do that, but you got no offense. It's not really a game. So I don't know. Any thoughts on Ohio State? Like I said, we haven't talked about them at all this year.
There's nothing to talk about. They don't play nobody.
Yeah, and they're good. Like they're a good team.
They're great. They're probably a really great team, but until they actually play someone worth a dang, like what's the point? There's no point to talk about them.
Yep, I agree. Blake, same for you.
Yeah, I mean they got a high-powered offense, but I mean so did Tennessee. I mean, until you do play a quality opponent, it's hard to really garner what you've really got.
That's what I like. I mean, but that being said, that first half, that Iowa defense kept that running game in check.
Yeah.
And that says something to me, because I do not think the Iowa defense is one of the better ones in the country, honestly.
And it's not a full allusion to it, but I think about Georgia Clemson in week 1. It's the same thing, tight game, because defense is doing its thing. They're shaking each other out, but offensively, Clemson just could not get anything going against a good defense in Georgia. And then Georgia pulls away. You have to have a good offense to complement your defense. Otherwise, your defense is going to get worn out. They're going to get beat. They're going to get burned, and mistakes are going to happen. The more they're on the field, stupid stuff happens. So Iowa, again, it's hard to say. But we'll see. Ohio State's got tests coming up with Oregon, Nebraska, Penn State on the next 3 on the docket. So we're going to learn about them pretty quickly. Washington and Michigan. Michigan obviously goes down. They're on their 3rd-string quarterback at this point. Tuttle actually came in and showed a little bit of life. Orji, I thought at first making okay reads, but it was just like he's delayed on his throws, so they benched him. And then once Tuttle came in, things started changing. The run game started going. But just a lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties for Michigan. Washington, on the other hand, came out, and Will Rogers had a really nice game. We've talked about him plenty in the preseason and last year that we like what we see from him. And of course, Coleman had a strong game on the ground.
And Jed Fish called a very nice offensive game, honestly.
Oh yeah. All credit.
They did a lot of good wrinkles that were successful, and at the end of the day, I'm just going to say it now: play the freshman. Yeah, play the freshman. Let them get it now.
So for Michigan, why are you saying Michigan?
Yeah, play the freshman.
So that was kind of my thinking too. But everything
he hasn't been redshirted, so what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the people on the inside, all this stuff, for whatever it's worth, they say that his parents don't want him playing a down this year. And I don't quite understand that when you can still redshirt, with playing 4 games. But it's just, I don't know. Give Tuttle, his last week was his first week of being able to actually play since he's been injured. So now you've got a bye week at a very opportune time if you're Michigan. Let's see what he does coming out of the bye week and going up against Illinois.
This is facts.
And, maybe things change. I have no
facts,
idea.
Gentlemen. From Johnny Sports Network, this week is exactly why college football will always be better than the NFL.
Hey, man, it's a beautiful sport, and there's so much variety and, all these different outcomes. And it's a fun sport to watch no matter, what team is playing. So Washington, good on them for coming out and winning. They were on the ropes in the 3rd, but they put together a very nice 4th quarter. And we'll have a write-up on that too. Michigan, pretty disappointing, pretty upsetting. Minnesota, on the other hand, really nice win against USC. They came out, Brosmer, 15 of 19. I mean, that's almost a perfect game. But Darius Taylor, strong running back. Michigan kind of locked down a bit last week. He came out and smoked USC on the ground for 144. Major had 37 yards. So, I mean, almost 200 yards on the ground for Minnesota. USC still issues on defense with tackling, with stopping the run. Do you see this game at all, or what do you think about this outcome? No,
nothing. USC is just slowly withering away since week 1. Yeah, I think losing to Michigan just sucked the life out of them. It's like since that game, they've just really, like, I know they come back on Wisconsin and everything, but they I think that took a lot out of them, that loss, because they had the game right there within their reach, and when something like that happens, it can really affect your team, and I think they're going through that.
Yeah, I agree.
I really hope that USC can pull it together to beat Penn State, but I don't know if they can.
Selfishly, I'm hoping for that as well. But
I know they haven't played like a top tier team really, but they've looked pretty good. I'm still not super impressed with Alar, but the running game they've got and their defense has looked pretty solid. I still think they only won 10 games, but I mean they've looked better to me than they have in the years past. But I know what to expect from a James Franklin team. So
yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at as well with Penn State is that you trust but verify, and right now I'm not verifying anything, and I'm not really trusting anything either because James Franklin always finds a way to blow it, and yeah, will he get 10 wins? Yes, he'll get you there, but can he get you over that hump? And they have got to win this game against USC to start getting that narrative going in their direction. Because they're 5-0. They want playoffs. Outside of that, Big Ten wise, gentlemen, Oregon beat Michigan State early. It was a Friday night game. Penn State's moved on to 5-0. Indiana, a nice 5-0 after a beat down. I really like the energy around that program right now. Wisconsin destroyed Purdue. Purdue should honestly fire their whole coaching staff. It's disgusting what they're doing. I mean, you go out and Notre Dame gets beat by Northern Illinois, and then Notre Dame comes back and smokes you like that. That's immediate. You should be fired. But I mean, that's just me. Rutgers, Nebraska. It was a rock fight, man. I don't even really care to talk about it too much. It was 7-0. Come on. I don't know. Just kind of an ugly old school Big Ten game that, it's kind of beautiful in a way, but it's not. It's just a weird game. But Nebraska, I mean, they pulled it out. So that's all I got on the rest of Big Ten. And then let's move on, talk about the SEC real quick. And obviously the biggest game, Vanderbilt taking down Alabama. Mixture of penalties, quarterback just going off in Pavia. Even the running game was okay. It wasn't great for Vandy, but they had some really nice chunk plays and explosives that were the runs that really iced the game for them, like the inside shuttle passes, stuff like that. Bama Milroe was all right, still threw for 310, but he had crucial turnovers. Blake, what do you think on this one? Trev, what about you?
You go ahead, Trevor.
I tip my cap to Vanderbilt. I thought they played a phenomenal offensive game plan against that Alabama defense. But I will say this, Alabama missed a lot of tackles. Like there was a lot of missed tackles that I was very surprised that those linebackers were having problems taking down the running backs and even the quarterback even at times. And it was it was a little surprising to me considering the game they played against Georgia. To have that big of a letdown against a Vanderbilt team that, while I would consider very much less than, they played a phenomenal game, and man, they came up with some major big plays.
Yeah, it was that was the worst defensive performance I have seen out of Alabama in a long time. The game plan itself I thought was flawed from the get-go. When you have a fast quarterback like that, plus if you go back and watch Vanderbilt's losses on the season, they have a lot of turnovers. I think they're like 7 or 8 fumbles on the season.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what Bama was trying to go for with those missed tackles, because watching the game, I kept seeing them grabbing at the football, which I know you're supposed to do that, but at some point it's like, okay, well, you got to actually get the guy on the ground. And how many plays were blown dead from forward progress being stopped versus actually tackling the person was shocking. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't count it, but I know it was probably 8 or 9, and you don't typically see that, especially when our guys are 5 times their size. But just I sent y'all a message in the middle of the game, like, I don't understand why we're forcing everything inside, because they literally was running the same scheme. It was first down was sweep left or right, and then the second down play, they was averaging 7.3 yards per play on second down. And every single time it was either the shuttle pass up the middle or shovel pass, or just either a draw up the middle or just a straight slash right up between the tackles. And it would go for 7-8 yards almost every third down they had, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3. Very few times were they 3rd and long. And then there was 4 third downs that we stopped them on the play and penalties. I mean, I would encourage everybody to read my weekly write-ups that I write on Bama, because this one here pretty much, I don't know if Vanderbilt got a hold of it and did exactly what I said. I mean, literally everything I said, it's like it happened. Was the Bama from the South Florida game, penalties, miscues. Milroe, I thought he did fine. The interception wasn't really on him. I mean, the ball got batted and went up 35 feet in the air. That happened. And then the fumble, I mean, he never even saw the guy coming. The tackle just straight missed the block and he got smacked. There wasn't really nothing he could do about that either. But, when all those things combine like that, it reminds me of the South Carolina game back in 2010. Steven Garcia was not that great of a quarterback, but he had a Heisman showcase that day. And I think Pavia did the same thing in this game. I mean, that he wore Bama's ass out. There wasn't really, they could not stop him. And that's what disappointed me so much, is I didn't see any type of defensive changes. It's forcing everything to the inside. And I just don't understand that. As fast as our linebacking group is, I feel like you push everything outside, wear that quarterback down, because you can only run so much and take so many hits before you have to change your offensive plan. And we just never put them in that situation where they had to change anything.
Yeah, honestly, it was an expert game plan from Vandy, and Bama just didn't adjust the way they needed to defensively. I mean, when you look at time of possession alone, 42 minutes for Vanderbilt to 17 for Alabama. Yeah, they scored quick. But again, you need to sustain some drives. You need to help out your defense a little bit too. And then Vandy at 12 of 18 on third downs, 1 of 1 on a big fourth downs. It's just crazy, crazy how that went down. But great win for Vanderbilt. Bama still in contention. There's still plenty of season left for them. But to me, they need Vanderbilt to continue to knock some people off. If they start losing out again, that'll hamper them. The Georgia win is holding Bama together right now in the rankings. But I mean, hey, like I said, long season left. Another team that went down to an unranked, and that was Tennessee going down to Arkansas. And Arkansas is one that we mentioned. Look, this team's been right on the cusp of being undefeated, but they could not get out of their own way. Well, last night they were able to finally get through, and they got a win. Now they're 4-2, sitting 2-1 in the conference, and they knocked off the number 4 Vols. Taylor Green ended up going down. He had an injury. Young guy came in, Singleton, and he finished out the game pretty decently. What did you guys think about this one?
I like the way Arkansas played this entire game, honestly. And I thought that for once they finished. Honestly, that's the biggest thing between the previous Arkansas games and this game, is that they finished.
Yeah.
They did the things that you need to do to finish the game out.
They are a lot like Alabama in a way. They shoot themselves in the foot a lot.
Yep.
They're a very capable team. Offensively, having Bobby Petrino, he can scheme anything up for any player, no matter how good or bad you are. And they rely a lot on that receiver. His name's
Armstrong.
Yeah, Armstrong. I mean, that dude, he's their go-to guy. I'm not saying he's like Ryan Williams, but he's the Ryan Williams of Arkansas. He makes all the plays for them. He goes up and gets the ball. He gets the first downs.
Yeah.
And Taylor Green, he gets in his head a lot, and you can see it on the field. He'll make stupid throws, hold the ball too long, take sacks he don't need to take. And I agree with Trevor. They played a complete game here. And, I agree with Johnny Sports here. They should have beat Oklahoma State. I said that during that game. I think we all kind of agreed on that one.
Yeah.
They let was it A&M?
Yeah.
They let that game.
They let them off the hook straight up.
Yeah. And and like I said, I wasn't knocking Tennessee the last few weeks, but like I said, they've played Kent State and Chattanooga, and of course their offense, they're going to put up 84 points between those two teams. They're like 2 wins.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Kent State's even won a game. And then we see now what North Carolina State is, and then Oklahoma.
They're offensively challenged.
but defensively, they kind of held Tennessee sitting still. And, that was my whole point. And I don't remember if we all said it, but I know I said on the preview show, like, this is a winnable game for Arkansas.
Yeah.
They just have to do it. And I mean, fortunately they did, because God, I hate Tennessee. They are dirty. I don't know if y'all seen all the dirty plays. For real, I mean, that's like the injury.
I saw a couple, though.
The injury to Arkansas's quarterback was 100% on purpose. I mean, the dude dove straight at his knee. I mean, he was trying. And then they was like, when they would go to get up off of a pile, there was 2 or 3 times I saw one of Tennessee's linemen, he would like just fall with all of his weight back down on the players. On that 2-point conversion there in the fourth quarter was one of them. Pretty obvious, but didn't ever really get called for it. But that's typical of Tennessee. Low down, dirty, some snitches. I hate them.
And hey, look, that stuff, referees got to get on top of that shit too. But hey, they let it go, I guess. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's Tennessee. They wanted that number 4 ranking, but we'll see. I don't know. I think
Josh Heupel.
I think Tennessee can definitely rebound here, but I mean, when you go and look at their schedule and who's coming up next, you've got a Florida team coming up, then Bama, then Kentucky. So I mean, there's still room there for them having a really strong season, but they got to figure this one out. Johnny, he's on point with the comments tonight. When preseason we talked about their schedule for Arkansas. I think we mentioned they were one of the tougher schedules in the country.
Yeah.
That nobody's really, I feel like they weren't talking about it, but they should. So I don't know. Arkansas, they need to lock it down, but they can go out. I think they can beat LSU plenty easy enough. Mississippi State, and then you go into Ole Miss, Texas. Right there, that 2-game stretch is going to be tough. I
really hope they do, because I really like Sam Pittman, and I think he's a good coach. He's just had some tough breaks. I mean, but he's got Arkansas going in a good direction.
Well, I mean, it's already looking better. I hate saying that once KJ Jefferson's left, but I mean, look what's going on at UCF. We thought maybe a change of scenery would be good for UCF and KJ, and nothing's really happened there. Yep. They just lost to Florida. We'll do a quick round robin. The UGA, they ended up taking out Auburn. I got nothing to say on that one too much. I don't know about you guys. It's just, Georgia's kind of, piddling along right now. Auburn's still doing their thing, not looking great. Texas A&M eviscerates Mizzou. I mean, that was a total domination. Yep. Missouri didn't have a chance. And that credited TAMU's defense. They locked it down. But then, Wigman came out and he played like we thought he was going to play from last year before he got injured. So if this is the Texas A&M team that's going to be there for the rest of the year, you cannot take them lightly, in my opinion. What do you guys think about Texas A&M real quick, and then we'll jump on to a couple other games. No faith, Trev.
I'm just gonna be, whatever. You're welcome, Aggies fans. You're welcome. I gave you the motivation to pull a win off.
They watched the show. They knew
they watched the show. They won the game. Now they'll go back to being the regular Texas A&M Aggies that we know and love.
Yeah. I do still think that they have some problems in the secondary, because Missouri did get behind them a lot.
They did early. Especially.
Very fortunate. Yes, penalties. But even in the third and fourth quarter, you've seen the receivers getting open. Cook just couldn't really ever get the ball out. Texas, that front four is something at A&M. I mean, they are good, that front four.
Yeah. It's again the front seven, and I think we talked about that too in the preview, season preview. We talked about their defensive backs, maybe some issues there, and like you said, they were able to get behind them. They just couldn't connect, or there was bad penalties, or just a miss. The one was a drop, like that. You can't do that, and then the game just got away from them. They lost all momentum. Good on Texas A&M. And I agree. They should have a really solid chance moving forward with Johnny Sports here having a probably a good showdown later in the season. Ole Miss, they went out. They beat South Carolina. Nothing there from them. Florida, they're now 3-2, and they're really hoping for chaos to stay on their side this year and maybe sneaking in that 6th win. Can do a bowl game. They only need 3 more, baby. On one of the hardest schedules in the country. But that's it for what I got on the conference rundown for the SEC. Gents, anything else about this week? I got to do a shout out for our pick'em real quick. Jared did. He had the best on our fan pick'em, 6-4. So that was good on him. The rest of us, we were all struggling. Anything else about the games this week before we start wrapping her up?
No, we can start wrapping it up, I think.
Yeah, again, just crazy season. Yeah. Let's go back and answer that real quick. It was from Johnny. He asked this: for a man who makes $10 million a year, should Florida State part ways with Norvell? Believe it or not, I think they could pull Kiffin if they wanted, but I could also see Lincoln Riley in the mix. Gents, what do you think about that question?
Well, I don't think Florida State is on that level for either of those coaches. I don't. I think that they are at a B-rated coach or worse at this point. So I'm thinking that they would need to pull. Who's the name that I would think? Probably like who's doing really well? Boise State's coach, maybe. They might be able to pull him, maybe. Or some of the I'm trying to think of some other coaches, guys that are kind of mid-tier. Not top tier, but mid tier, because that's where Florida State would have to go.
Damn. What do you? I'm curious what you think.
I would personally part ways. I think it's just you hit some, you miss some. I really liked him last year. I thought he was doing a good job with what he had, but schedule wise schedule wise was really easy last year, and the tested games, his players didn't play. And that to me says a lot about a coach when your team sits out on you. And, despite the whole situation with not getting in the playoffs, whatever, you play for a coach that you care about. And this year, the team just has not really come together. As far as pulling Kiffin or Lincoln Riley, could they? Probably so, but I think the hesitation would be, what's the future of the ACC, with Florida State in the ACC?
Yeah,
because Lincoln Riley's not going to leave if he feels like Florida State's going to come to the SEC. I don't think, because I feel like that's one of his reasons for leaving Oklahoma. However, his future in the Big Ten isn't looking so bright this year, anyways. But they're a prestigious school. I feel like they are a school that can go out and get anybody they want. I think Lane Kiffin's in a good spot, though. I don't see him leaving Ole Miss.
Yeah. I don't see Lane leaving for anything other than upper. It would have to be a step up, and Florida State would be at best a lateral, or a downgrade.
Yeah. And look, people talk about coaching moves, and we're in the world of NIL. I see football a little bit differently than years past before that, and the transfer portal too, where you talk about history and ability to win national titles and all these things. I don't know if that really matters to coaches anymore. If they've got
there's so many more variables now.
Yeah, is the administration going to back me in what I'm doing? And Kiffin's got that at Ole Miss. He can pretty much do whatever the hell he wants. Yeah. And Lane Kiffin, I'm sorry, back out west, we're talking about Lincoln Riley. He struggles, man. I don't know. Offensively, yes, he does things pretty well every year. But again, I know it's new defensive coordinator, things going on, but I don't know if it's worth firing Norvell. 1 year of this going down, everything's going wrong right now. I'd almost give him another season. Let him see what he can figure out, because he still did get the team last year to 11 wins, or excuse me, more than that. But yeah, then once they didn't make the playoffs, whatever, things went to hell. Right. But
my biggest problem with Norvell is that while he did great last year, 100%, he had a great team with him. The fact that he is unable to make the proper adjustments with the personnel he has and continues to coach the team like it was last year is a problem. I feel like he's acting like DJU is the same quarterback as he had last year. And I feel like that's the wrong way. You're not coaching to your personnel. You're just coaching to coach, and you're just, for lack of a better term, on cruise control and just hope that your athletes are better than the other teams.
I will say, as from a coaching standpoint, how he has committed to DJU kind of shocks me with which they got problems up front. There has been times when he has time to throw the ball. He can be a capable quarterback, but all in all, I just don't see that out of him, which Norvell sees more than what we see, obviously, in practice. So, I mean, I don't know how bad the backup is, but judging by the Clemson game, I feel like their offense had a little bit more life in it than the other games this season. But I don't know.
Glenn came in and he at least was able to move the ball and make some. So he made the coaching change. I think it came a week late. But again, look, the guy he went 13-1 last season. I think that's bought him some good standing. But I agree. I think they should have probably gone and got Cam Ward. I think he was even on campus before he went to Miami. So those are just certain things that, shit happens and things break down. But I think Norvell's got some good grace, and he'll get another year. But, I mean, grass isn't always greener either. You could go try to hire Lane Kiffin, and then he does the same exact thing. You never know. But good question. Thank you for the comment. Jared, I see hold on. Where'd it go? Jared,
he didn't like my Boise State comment.
Oh, shit. No, Boise State's doing something good, but they've also got a very good running back. If they didn't have him, who knows what their season would look like. So, I don't know. I think Florida State
is said for if Norvell didn't have the quarterback he had last year, that season didn't. Yeah. Well, look what happened when he went out. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Sometimes your season is made or broken by just one player.
By the players on your team. That's how it goes, right?
Yep. It is what it is.
But either way.
I do want to say real quick to Barbara, I agree about Ole Miss faking injuries.
Yes.
They like to do that.
It's
They're very good at it too. Especially when they want to conserve some time out. I've never seen a team do it more than Ole Miss.
I mean, this dude's just standing there.
It's been like that for years.
He just drops down
and he falls.
Lord,
I know.
No dignity.
And
no dignity.
I thought they were going to start calling that. Were they not? I remember seeing something preseason.
They said something about it. What was it, like 2 years ago? They were going to start calling flopping or whatever.
Yeah, they call it the LeBron.
Call it the LeBron. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. They need to figure it out. I hope they lose, honestly, just for that. But either way, that's the show tonight, guys. Yep. They get class credit. they get an A at Ole Miss for
flopping.
Oh my God. Hey, look, we appreciate you guys listening. Week 6 review, I think we're pretty much done with it at this point. 2024 has been nuts. More chaos to come, I'm sure. Thank God Michigan's got a bye week next week. I can maybe take a relaxing weekend just to watch football. And
next week is huge.
It's huge.
It is a huge week next week.
Make sure you guys stay tuned for our breakdowns on it, and keep an eye out for a Substack. It's a new thing that we got going on, a little blog site. Blake's been doing write-ups on Alabama. So it's been pretty good reads, and they've been pretty spot on. So make sure you guys follow that. And we appreciate you, of course. Subscribe here, comment on YouTube. That helps us a lot. Guys, anything else before we shut her down?
Appreciate everybody listening. Thank you so
much.
All right.
Cheers, boys and girls. Have a good one.
Take it easy.